Hello everyone, and welcome back to Technically Unsure, where yes, I'm technically unsure of what I'm doing, but hey, that never stopped me before.
It worked!
If you're new to this channel, welcome. And if you've been around for the past couple of months, you know what I've been posting. So I showcased a bunch of X79, X99 motherboards with older Xeon CPUs. And then I ventured into building a slightly fancier AMD EPYC server-based motherboard, which seems like you guys really love that one. So on that note, you know, you can't keep everyone happy. So some people didn't like the X99, the Chinese crap, and doesn't work, and it's old and ancient, it uses so much power. And then I post AMD EPYC, oh, it's so expensive. So I think this one is a little bit middle ground. So I answered this question in the previous video, why there are so many cheap X99 motherboards for older E3, E5 CPUs like E5-2699V4, which is basically guzzles power like a thirsty elephant. But anyway, why? So I told you that one thing is supply and demand, right? There's a massive surplus of decommissioned old Xeons. So people came up with the idea to let's spend some time, do R&D, develop this X99 motherboard and reuse, refurbish, recycle. Also, because X99 is compatible with DDR4 and PCIe 3, they reused these components and started pushing out a lot of those CPUs. The thing is with AMD in the past, like with FX or Opteron, they were not really a big player in the server game. So now they're killing it with EPYC, but it wasn't. Also, the modern ones will require DDR5, PCIe 4, or maybe even PCIe Gen 5. Those are expensive. So in this video, we are going to find a little bit middle ground. I'm gonna stick to the dual socket motherboard. One of you actually, I remember, asked that can I run these motherboards with a single CPU, and the answer is yes. So if your budget is tight, you get the motherboard, you put one CPU, and the rest you start using it. You get some more budget, you want to add another CPU, you just get another CPU. You can't do that. So that being said, in this one we are going to use Intel Xeon. This is going to be cheaper than the AMD Xeon one, but it's also not going to be X99 $100 motherboard. Okay, so in this video I got this pizza box. This is a supermicro X11 DPI-N, a dual socket LGA3647 motherboard, and it costs around $361.77. That's an oddly specific number, but the thing is, just like the AMD video, I said I'm gonna try to find a motherboard that's abundant. I always put the links where I bought, but again, I don't know the seller, I am not sponsored, I might get lucky and this might work perfectly, might not. So it's just eBay. And I have to say that you can find the similar motherboard on other websites. That was the thing. As I said, I wanted to find motherboards and CPU combos that are very easily available on many different sites, including AliExpress and the eBay and other sites. As for CPU, exactly like how I did on the AMD EPYC server setup, I'm going to show you two options. One is a little bit expensive, one is fair, cheap. Okay, let me show you. These ones are Intel Xeon Platinum 8180, 28 cores, 56 threads each, by the way, and 1.8 gigahertz base, 3.2 gigahertz boost, and basically it's a server grade Godzilla. Okay, and it goes for 133 each. And this bad boy is Intel Xeon Gold 6148. This one was 20 core, 40 threads, and 2.4 gigahertz base, 3.7 gigahertz boost, and this is also another heavy hitter, and this one is costing $60 each. So both of these CPUs, just example. I will put the link down below that there's going to have a list of all the possible CPUs that you can put on this motherboard. So you pick and choose, okay? There's so many. I just randomly kind of chose these two. This one I had, this one I bought for this video. So I'm gonna go with this. I just want to see how this one does, the Platinum 8180. So basically, if we go with this, so this is 360 bucks motherboard, and two of these 133, 266. So grand total of my setup gonna be 626. Let's skip this. We're gonna go with this setup, and the AMD EPYC setup that I did, just the motherboard was like 500 bucks, and the CPU I used was like 400 bucks. And you guys, a lot of smart people came down, commented a couple other alternative good CPUs that were a little bit cheaper, like 300 bucks one, forgot the name, but there was one. Okay, and again, just like how I did in X99 build, in the AMD EPYC build, I'm not gonna include the cost of RAM, storage, power supplies, and I don't know, the bribes you might have to pay to your local electricity company. We're not counting those. Okay, we're just talking about the motherboard and CPU, because RAM and power supply and storage is kind of very individual. And for the coolers, I bought these None of it is sponsored. I don't even know if it works. So this is going to be what I'm going to use on this one. These were like 40 bucks each, not much. Let's talk about the motherboard. So let me take this out. So this is how the seller shipped it. I guess, yeah, this seller didn't even include a single SATA cable, just so you're aware. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking that back. It seems like there is a SATA cable that's inside this. I actually don't even need it, but anyway. All right, the mighty knife. Okay, so as you can see, this bad boy is also 16 DIMM DDR4 naturally, also with ECC. If you want, you can add ECC. If you don't want, I don't know, not ECC compatible RAM, but who would do that in such a motherboard? But anyway, and there are 2 SATA 3 ports over here and 2 more over here, exactly almost like the AMD one. And 16 slots is also same, 2 CPUs the same. Also, by the way, 2 RJ45 gigabit VGA, exactly like the other one, USB 2s, USB 3s, IPMI, BMC, whatever you call it is there, also serial port. This port identical to the other one that I just did for the AMD EPYC. And in terms of PCIe, X16, 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 X8, 16, and 8. All of them Gen 3. Here's the NVMe SSD slot. Okay, so the power 24 pin goes here and CPU power connectors here, one for each of these CPUs. I guess they're like fan connectors and the SSD. Yeah, everything else is near identical to the other one. So in the back, I just want to show you there is nothing, and also no one did any work on it. I don't see any soldering or flux or anything. All right, this is it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to do almost exactly what I did for the other video for AMD. I'm going to showcase a Proxmox, Ubuntu, do a bunch of benchmarks, even try pass-through for PCI and a graphics card in the Proxmox. Let's see how much motherboard and CPU gonna cost you. Around $626. Let's call it 600 bucks. So 600 bucks motherboard and CPU combo. Let's see how powerful that is. Okay, and we are also going to monitor the power consumption. Let me just also show you one of the CPU coolers so you can see. Also, I can confirm that I got the right cooler, otherwise that's going to be a very short video. So it came with a thermal paste, but I'm gonna have to put this back on for now. I'm just checking. Let's see the holes line up. Yep, they do. Okay, so it's not going to be a short video, it's going to be a long video. Give me a couple of minutes, let me put everything together and we take it from there. Okay, so we are back. Everything is working and I have some updates. So first of all, I had to switch back to 6148 gold because somehow I forgot that the one I had was engineering sample. So engineering sample is not really compatible with this motherboard. So the same CPU, if you get it, if it is not engineering sample, it will work. But if you see ES or it says engineering sample, it won't work. So don't even try. Keep that in mind. So let me actually show you a couple of things. As you can see on the screen, this is the Crystal Disk score. So it is actually a little bit faster than the other test that I did with the AMD one. And here is the Cinebench 2024 score. It's kind of like half the AMD one that we did, but also you have to keep in mind that was like $400 CPU each. This is $60 CPU each. So it's not really fair, but 6.5 times the price for 400, you're getting half the speed. And I also want to show you this score. This is also 1/3 of the other CPU. Again, keep in mind $60 CPU. Okay, so that's what I get in version 17. In version 19, we are getting 15,478. And another thing that I just want to show you guys is this, obviously. So when Windows is idle, we are doing almost nothing. We get like 100 watts. That's also much lower than the other AMD EPYC one that we did. So let me just also quickly show you these pages just in case. So socket number 1, socket number 2, as you can see, these are the information. Both are Intel Xeon Gold. And I also want to show you the hardware monitor. I just want to show you that these things rock and the temperatures are acceptable range and it's okay. So this is all working, right? Yeah, as you can see, 32 Cs and 31, 32, 34 Cs, and this is 42 overall. So everything is working. As supermicro X11 DPI NT, that's working. Oh, by the way, I updated the BIOS. So as you can see, it's very, very recent. recent. When I bought it, that was like BIOS from 2018, so very old, but I updated it using the supermicro IPMI BMC right over there. So although this benchmark doesn't really stay that long, but I'm gonna do it so you can see it for a second that it jumps all the way up. I just wanted you to see that number. So when we start, it just jumps up to 337. Okay, I've seen a lot higher numbers. I don't know why it doesn't go, but anyway, so I've seen 440. That's all I just wanted to tell you. Okay, and now it's going to come down and it's ramping down. Okay, I just wanted to show you these things. Maybe it was this one that was going all the way to 440. Let's see. Yeah, you see, so version 17 actually goes higher, so still didn't go to 440, but it is 405, so 400 watts when you're using every single thread on both of these CPUs that's in here. But usually when you're idling in Windows, you're not really stressing the CPU, you're not gonna get that much. Okay, and if we go to here, performance, you can see that beautiful screen right there that we have 40 cores, 80 threads. So that's there. So nothing else comes to my mind, but I just want to show you this is the RAM as well, 512 gigabyte DDR4. That's the half the speed, so 1200, so double it, 2400 megahertz. That's actually what the speed is. And yeah, everything is working, and I just wanted to show you guys these. Now I want to boot into Ubuntu and also show you the BIOS. So give me a couple of seconds, let me boot into BIOS. Okay, so we are in the BIOS, as you can see, and all the 512 gigabyte RAM is detected, 2400 is there. As you can see, the BIOS is the most recent version that I updated, and the boot features, CPU configuration, you can see socket 1, socket 2, both are detected. We saw that in there, and the hyper threading is enabled. Everything is here, execute bit. Yeah, so these are the settings, all are enabled by default. You have the P states as well over here, so to play around with. Chipset configuration, North Bridge, and here in IIO you can play around the ports and sockets and settings, and here you can do the bifurcation for these PCIe lanes. That's over here, up to you. So basically with the X16 you can probably use one of those cards where you can put 4 NVMe SSD in there, and South Bridge settings are over there. So these are pretty standard. Server ME is there, SATA configuration, all that stuff. Trusted computing is not there. TLS auth, RAM disk config, driver health, and super IO configuration. So yeah, pretty standard. I just want to walk through it. So I just wanted to show you this. Now I am going to boot into my Ventoy and from there into Ubuntu, so I can show you a little bit more benchmark in Ubuntu and also confirm that Ubuntu works. So let's get into fast forward mode and let me log into desktop and install a bunch of packages. We'll be right back. Okay, so we are in Ubuntu, and let me first start with a quick bidirectional iPerf3, and let's confirm that is a 10 gigabit Ethernet. So I forgot to say that in the beginning, there is 2 versions of this. There is one with N and one without. So this is the one with N, and it is 10 gigabit Ethernet. So keep that in mind. This is a 10 gigabit version, 2 dual 10 gigabit Ethernet. And the other thing that I want to show you guys is the Stress NG. Okay, as you can see, when we are running, the fans ramp up all the way up. I saw it 440 for a second. It was coming back to 420. And as you can see, this is not installed. So we are using it without the GPU, but also remember, I populated 16 RAM sticks, and each RAM, let's say using 1.5, 2 volts, 1.5 volt, and let's say 2-3 amps, I don't know. So it is something. So 16 watts, 32 watts probably is just the RAMs, but 420. So we have to wait for the benchmark to end, and as you can see, the temperatures are there. Max, it went up to 70 when you're using every single thread in every single CPU. Okay, so 70 is max. So the coolers are doing just fine. Okay, so let's wait and see the score. Okay, so we are done, and the score is impressive, very, very impressive. So we got 3.8 million in the other one, in Xeon one, and we are getting 3.6 million in this particular dual CPU setup. So it is a very powerful system. So let me prepare a couple more things. I'll be right back. All right, so what I did was I brought some Ollama models. We are going to run it with no GPU, solely on these RAM sticks and the CPU, and we're going to see how it does. So let's do. So I'm gonna start with the Llama 3 8B, and let's run it in verbose. So I ran all of them just to make sure it runs, but didn't do anything. So I guess we can ask the most important question, which is the what?
is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
It already off the races, 300 watts, and it is very, very fast. Okay, so wow, okay, that was 60 tokens per second. That was very, very fast, as you saw. Let's take it up a notch. I'm going to try the 7TB, and let's see how it does. All right, so I'm gonna use the question I stole off Reddit. So basically number 3 and 3, you get it? Oh, okay, so this is slow, as you can see. I think I can help you out. The number that rhymes with trees is the 3. Okay, so it got the question, obviously, and we are getting 8 tokens per second, and this one went up to like 350 watts. And let's see.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Yeah, look at that. Initially went up to like 340 and came back down to 320, 3 and whatever. So as you can see, it is slow for the 7TB model, which is 40 gigabyte, but it still runs it. It is slow. It's like 7-8 tokens a second. If you deduct that, go back to the other model that I ran, which was Llama 3 8B. So that one, it actually ran with 60 tokens per second speed. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that this is also a possibility that you can technically run LLM models on this with the RAM that I have and the CPUs that I have. This is just an example. Another thing I want to confirm is the MID code 17. Obviously, it is ECC. I just wanted to show you guys, and you can see the channels and all that stuff in here. Okay, so I believe I covered pretty much everything so far. Was the LLM models, CPU benchmarks, RAM ECC confirmation, SSD speeds, and all that stuff. Now the fun begins, and that is Proxmox and pass-through. So I have to install this and take care of some stuff. So give me a couple of minutes. I will set everything up and we'll take it from there. Okay, as you can see, we are booted and I am using this GPU, and that's the IP address 172.16.1.4. All right, so we are in. As you can see, this is the same CPU, 6148, 2 of them, so 40 each, 80 cores, and this is the usage and all that stuff. Let's do the same test, but remember, this one is 10 gigabit Ethernet. The other one that we tested for the AMD, that one was a gigabit Ethernet. So let's log in. Okay, as you can see, this one is also super fast. You saw how long it took to boot in and start the container, and I will show you more. As you can see, this is the Cinebench 2024, and look what I have. I am doing a PCIe pass-through with Proxmox to a Windows 11 guest, and this device is totally accessible to the Windows 11 guest. And I'm even going to start doing the benchmark and look at the power consumption that will go up. Okay, let's wait. Okay, as you can see, it went up to 350 watts, and it is using the NVIDIA CUDA to render this, and you can guess the number exactly same as the AMD Xeon one, and the fans didn't even start to ramp up yet. But yeah, so it is running, everything is working beautifully. As you can see, even the guest machine detect the CPU. That's because I set the type of the CPU as host, so the guest machine will see actually what is the real CPU that is. Okay, the fan started. So yeah, 16,000. Oh, actually, this might even do better than the other one. I don't know. I don't remember actually. The AMD one was, when we did the test, was it 17,000? Anyway, what I want to tell you is you're not really getting a lot of performance hit because of doing this. Obviously, I get it. The motherboard is PCIe Gen 3. It's not fair to connect a 4070 to a Gen 3, but also it's kind of fair because it's working and it's fine. And I've been played games in the other videos with the 4070 on a PCIe Gen 3. So it's okay. I understand you're not really using the full power, but it is working. So I'm just showing you that the PCIe pass-through is working fine. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys everything in this. I believe I covered Ubuntu, Windows, Proxmox, PCIe pass-through, benchmarks, power consumption. By the way, what you're seeing here is the guest destroying basically the GPU. As you can see, 380 watts. And you know what? I have never done a benchmark on a Proxmox. Can we do that? Oh yeah, we can. So let's get crazy. The guest machine will keep going. Let's keep that running. Okay, so this is rendering with the GPU. As you can see, 380 watts and whatever, it's going on. So let's go back here, and I am going to do a stress NG at the same time. Yeah, it is there. Okay, stress NG. Okay, are you guys ready? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was 680 watts. So it went up to 570 now. So GPU is getting benchmarked in a guest machine and CPU is getting benchmarked in the Proxmox. So we are really squeezing the juice out of it using every single thing in this machine, CPU cores and the GPU cores. So this is like full power, and I believe it went up to like 550. So I think the GPU is not really pulling too much, or because we are using every single core in the CPU, the guest doesn't really have the power to run fast enough to do the benchmark or something. As you can see, yeah, it stopped. Yeah, we're destroying the CPU, so the guest can't really have the time or to power to benchmark the GPU. So might have even crashed. So anyway, let's wait for this test to finish. I just want to see the score. Then we go back to the guest. Crazy test. You shouldn't be doing this, but I just did. So let's go up over here. Yeah, we got 3.3 million. It's kind of same what I did in Ubuntu. Let's see if Windows guest did anything, stutter or anything. Well, not really. I guess it's working. Yeah, it's working, but it was paused. Yeah, now it's continuing. Okay, we couldn't really test it properly, but it went up to 670, 680, something like that. But you get the idea. By the way, in the video that I'm not using the HDMI, I'm using this adapter to convert the VGA to HDMI. So this is solely being used in the guest machine, and I can shut this down and pass it to Ubuntu desktop just like I did in the AMD one, and I will be accessing it from the Ubuntu machine. Okay, so this bad boy that you're seeing here, although I'm going to be honest, this almost very close to the AMD Epic setup that we did in the previous video, but the price is like half of it. So 300 something for the motherboard and $60 per CPU. Honestly, no issues. 600 bucks, let's say, for the baseboard plus CPU. The price wise, this is more fair and more budget friendly option. So what I got in the AMD Epic video as comment from you guys was that, okay, this is not really budget. I get it. That's why I put it in quotes, right? So it wasn't really budget, but I was just trying to show you guys there is a cheaper way, cheap option to run AMD 7002 series on used motherboard, which I think most of you guys loved it, so it was fine. So this one is even cheaper version using Intel Xeon. So hope this one also helps you guys to make a decision. So overall 600 bucks for 2 CPU and a motherboard bundle, I'm gonna say, and 40 bucks for the coolers. So not really count anything. So I didn't run Crysis on this, but I assure you, yes, this can run Crysis. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions down below and I will try to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.